In this video, I talk to you about how to cultivate a content ecosystem to grow your brand. I'm going to walk you through our pillar page on search everywhere optimization and how you can cultivate a content ecosystem to grow your brand. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, organizations struggle to get traffic and leads, and they're constantly creating content without seeing any real results. Does that sound familiar? If so, you are in the right place to learn how you can do this without learning SEO, without caring about what's going to happen with Google. Maybe you are looking for how you can get enough content to keep up with the demands of social media, approaching SEO and content as two separate things. One of the biggest outdated belief systems, content and SEO are not separate things. Granted, there are some technical SEO things that can be addressed on your site, but they're not the heart of what SEO is about. So let's dive in. Content marketing. This is today's brand ecosystem. Think of content, your brand as well. Branding and content are not separate. A lot of people in businesses and organizations have gotten it in their mind that all of these things are separate. These shouldn't be siloed areas of your business. They are all interwoven. Content marketing isn't just about creating content like blog posts and emails. It's about a strategy that grows and thrives over time and is your brand's living, breathing ecosystem. It's almost like the nervous system of your brand. Every element has a connection to the whole of your entity, whether it's a small business, a nonprofit, or an association. Your content strategy should be built around this nervous system. And every piece of content should be native to your brand. It's going to be rooted in your core values, your messaging. This is what's going to help your brand stand out online, to rise above the AI generated content. The branding, the values, the purpose, the messaging, that's what's going to help you stand out. Get to the bottom of what your core messaging is and what your brand is authentically at its core. So the interconnectedness of this is going to help your brand grow. It's going to keep it growing and supporting the rest of your brand strategy. So the goal is to cultivate an ecosystem that thrives on sustainability. This leads us to native perennial gardening. I share on this page one of my favorite books. I am a master gardener, and my favorite form of gardening is native perennial gardening. I use the example of this book called No Maintenance Perennial Gardening by Roy DeBlick. On the cover of the book, it says, knowing your plants means less. And it is the same thing with a content strategy. Knowing your core topics, those topics that bring together you, your brand, and your ideal audience to create a sort of synergy that helps you to nurture such relationships. It's similar to native perennial gardening in that when you plant native plants, they're already suited to their environment and they're well suited to each other. They're going to thrive. Native meaning core to your brand, and topics that relate to each other so that they are familiar together and they work together to grow a strong ecosystem. They grow bigger every year and they attract more natural pollinators. Over time, your pillar content will attract more of your ideal audience. This creates that long-lasting evergreen content strategy. Thoughtful planning at the beginning. So that's where the strategy really comes in. It's planning in the beginning, planning the design of your garden, planning just the right plants, knowing your plants really well, and designing them into your content strategy. Once you have that garden established, it's going to take minimal ongoing intervention. When it comes to content, with the right analytics and data insights, you'll be able to make minor, impactful adjustments without overhauling your strategy every year, 2 years, even 3 years. This is a type of ecosystem designed to sustain over time. By choosing your core topics, similar to the way a gardener would pick native plants, you're creating a very resilient SEO content strategy that provides lasting value and empowers you to optimize with low impact tweaks. All the while, you're going to be drawing in traffic, leads, and engagement without constant replanting. how does this all work? And how is it that to do this, you don't need to know SEO? You don't even need to know what's happening with Google, what's happening with Search GPT. You don't have to know any of that. All you really have to know is a basic concept that Google came up with a few years back. Google, in working with their algorithms and working to understand what it was that people were searching for and the kinds of things that people were clicking on, evolved a certain kind of formula. They realized it's not about keyword stuffing. What it's about, first and foremost, is building trust. People are looking for information and relief to their challenges and problems that they can really trust. Google realized that and came up with the EAT formula: expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. When generative AI came on the scene in late 2022, OpenAI made available ChatGPT to the public, and right away, everything blew up, just like it did with the internet. We're basically having a repeat of when the internet came on the scene, and it was the Wild West. We're having that again with AI, but we're already getting a handle on this and understanding how it's being woven into the internet by seeing how Google has interacted with it, building in the AI overviews. We are now seeing Search GPT out. The search landscape is starting to take form after AI came on the scene. Since 2022, Google has doubled down on this. They added the E for experience. Now we're talking about expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness as the full framework. And the reason they added experience in here is because AI doesn't really have the kind of human experiences that we have. We have experiential knowledge of the thing that we're an authority on, the thing that we have as business owners and other organizational stakeholders, the knowledge we have, the skills. We have a lot of experiential knowledge around this. And so that's what separates us from AI when it comes to search. The more that we can lean into our experience in addition to our expertise and our authoritativeness on certain topics, the better that we're going to be able to ride the waves of search as it continues to evolve over time. The reason I can say this with such confidence is because for the last decade, our agency has been creating this kind of content. We were creating long form content that relied on deep expertise, authoritativeness, that went deep into topics, was designed to speak to the ideal prospect. We've been doing this long enough to see that over time, it has steady results. We've seen in the data charts, it's been amazing. We will have a chart that shows traffic going up, taking a little dip, and then going back up. So those little dips are those algorithm changes. Essentially, the content that we created did respond to algorithm changes, took a small dip, but then went right back up again without hardly any, if any, intervention. So that's how we've been able to validate that this kind of content is just like nature. It's like growing a seed with sun, water, and fertile soil. The technology we use to help us garden, to help us grow crops can change. We see innovations in those things to help us do it more efficiently and yield more results. But the actual nature of how things grow doesn't change. We always need sunlight, we always need water, we always need soil. The right combination of those things is what is going to help those plants or the crops grow. It's the same concept here. If you understand having the right ingredients together that aren't highly technical, they don't require a lot of technical knowledge. They require you to know your core topics and to package them effectively on the internet. AI can help with this. AI can scale that content so you can deliver it in all the different places, all the growing amount of platforms and media and channels that we're required to make our outreach on the digital landscape. We're moving towards search everywhere optimizations. For a long time, Google was the number one search tool that people went to But now with the proliferation of other platforms like YouTube and TikTok, Instagram and Facebook, and now GPT, where ChatGPT has a search engine of its own that you can tie into your browser and have it always working in the background. This is what we mean by search everywhere optimization. Your business, your organization is being searched. You have an opportunity to be found on all and any platforms. And making your content ecosystem strong means it's going to be more resilient across all these platforms. In addition, there's all these other benefits. It's a lot like nature, where one plant can have multiple benefits to it. It could be edible, it could be beautiful, it could keep away the wrong critters in your garden. Those three benefits could be wrapped up in one plant. So it's very similar here, where your content ecosystem, when you have a strategic, strong content ecosystem, and you have a foundation of high quality, long form content, you get to repurpose that content for different platforms. So there are things you can do with your content. There's minimal intervention when it comes to optimizing your content. You want to keep optimizing your content, but because it's evergreen, because it's built with a solid foundation, all you're going to need to do is add some compost and make some tweaks over time. For example, conversational search is an emerging trend right now. So you can optimize your content for conversational search. One of the ways you can do that is to make your content more conversational, like I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you. I'm going through this page and I don't have a script. I'm talking naturally about this topic that I feel passionate about and strongly about. So I have authority, I have experience. I'm having a conversation with you when you're talking to me about the issues and problems you're having around content, around being more visible online. We're having a conversation. I call this conversations to content. You can make your content more natural by addressing your audience's pain points and queries in a conversational way. So isn't this beautiful? Like you still had to learn one super technical SEO thing. Have I talked about meta descriptions or keyword research? No, I haven't even gotten to any of that yet, and really don't have to. Yes, those are going to be the icing on the cake. Those are just going to be little things you want. Just like if you were writing a paper and you had to go through and proofread it and make sure it was the right formatting, make sure you had the right punctuation. You can think of technical SEO now as punctuation and grammar. It's not the number one thing to focus on, where you're grasping for tiny little bites of something you're not even sure what it is. And then you're left with basically nothing. You have no soil, no plants, no seeds. This is going to give you all the materials. It's going to give you that rich soil, thriving plants. It's going to grow exponentially. And you're going to get to do these things, tweak your content to be a bit more conversational. And you're still not going to have to go out and learn super technical marketing jargon. You could just say goodbye to all that. Once you focus on this content ecosystem, everything will naturally fall into place. With search everywhere optimization, your content is going to serve a much broader audience and all the pieces are going to support each other. You're going to have this strong, resilient content ecosystem across platforms. Now let's get to the AI part. You might be thinking, well, I don't want to create all this content with AI, then it's just a bunch of generic content. Absolutely not. One of the greatest myths to come out of the whole emergence of AI, things being copied, plagiarized. Okay, plagiarism. Let's start there. I'm just going to talk about marketing right now. I am not talking about any outside issues like the entertainment industry. Those are different industries. I'm here to talk about AI when it comes to being a marketing assistant and a content assistant. The myth about AI has been that you could plagiarize. That's not how AI works. AI analyzes a lot of data and then makes up its mind, if you will, based on all of the data. So it's like when us human beings, we've taken in all this different data over time, our experiences, things we've observed, things we've read, things we've learned in school, in college, on the job. We're taking all of that and we're assimilating it, and we have output. It's what comes in and then what goes out. Those two things aren't copycat. We're taking in information and then outputting based on the information our brain has processed. So it's like that with AI. AI has a big brain where it's absorbing a lot of data and then using its predictive models. If you like this book, you'll like this book. It's predicting with all this information I have, I think this is what's going to go next. I'm not an engineer or an AI scientist, but this is how I understand how it works. Because of my perspective about generative AI, I see it as an incredible tool to help me travel through the nooks and crannies of my brain and find all the blind spots. With the help of AI, I'm able to develop an even more authentic and sustainable content strategy. I think of it as writing a research paper. AI is like my library, using all of the resources to develop my paper. It can help me come up with ideas, create spreadsheets 20 times faster than I could on my own. It's also very efficient, and it is going to help me fill in the gaps, not so much in my knowledge, but just in the blind spots that I might have. And it helps me analyze my own thought leadership and remind me of what I might be missing or where the gaps might be. It's really perfect timing with where we are with the evolution of content marketing and the digital landscape. We had social media, and social media has quickly evolved. So the demand for content, it just keeps growing, right? The demand for content marketing as a way to grow our businesses, to get found, to connect with our audiences, it's just so essential now. If we think about going beyond just the creation of the content, we also need to develop an efficient long-term strategy without overwhelming resources. So that's essentially what sustainable marketing, and we have another resource on sustainable marketing. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can find that on our website. I learned about sustainable marketing and sustainable business in my Green MBA programs. I'm very passionate about it. What I love about sustainable marketing ideas is it's all about marketing, promoting, and doing business responsibly without overwhelming resources, and to think about future generations. So sustainable content systems work very similarly. Not only are we creating content ecosystems that are long-lasting, evergreen, but they are also good for the internet. I think of this as greening the internet. There's another horticulture metaphor that I have about this, referring to the prairie strips. They're also called prairie buffers. Prairie buffers are patches of wildflowers, native perennials grown near a crop field, near like a monocrop field. And they're grown there so that they can help replenish the soil, because growing lots and lots of the same crop can degrade the soil. And so farmers are even paid to grow these prairie buffers in order to help replenish, make sure the land is replenished. So that's what we're doing with a sustainable content ecosystem, and we're focusing on topics native to our brand. We're creating quality over quantity when it comes to our core topic foundation. Every single piece of content that we create is going to be meaningful towards our brand's growth. This is where AI can enhance this content ecosystem. When using it thoughtfully, it can support sustainable marketing efforts by improving the efficiency and keeping the human element front and center. So here's a few ideas about how you can start using AI sustainably in your content ecosystem. Research and ideation is one of those no-brainers when it comes to content and marketing assistance. So AI can help you gather insights, audience behaviors and preferences, and check your content, ensuring that it's very relevant, meaningful, and just super aligned with your audience's needs. And again, that's where AI can really help us see past our own blind spots and analyze the gaps in what we might be thinking about our audience. One of the things that we can do as brands is make a lot of assumptions about our audience, and then we start creating marketing assets, spending a lot of time and money creating marketing assets on those assumptions. And oftentimes those assumptions fall really short. So we're not quite reaching who we want to reach. We're not quite sending out the right signals. We think we are, we really do, but oftentimes we have gaps. And so this is one of the most beautiful things about AI is it can help us identify those gaps to us, but it can also save a lot of time cutting through assumptions and helping us dig deeper. Doing content based on this foundational strategy of really zoning in on your core topics It's also about having AI help us dig deeper, help us question our own assumptions and things we've just thought and not questioned for a long time. So that's another way that it can really cut through a lot of wasted time and resources. Another great way we can use AI with content is through content optimizations. AI can analyze your content for improvement opportunities, help with keyword research. Let's get some optimal keywords in here, work with the content we have, and see how we can, again, packaging it for delivery online. How can we get just the right balance of our authentic content with our conversational tone, and also just get those keywords in there to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. It can help us with headlines, getting to the right headline so that we're sending the right signal to our audience. Let's say you have a lot of random posts that you've written over a really long time, and you're watching this video or you're reading this page and you're saying, oh man, I've been really creating a lot of random stuff. That's all salvageable, and AI can help you with that. Once you get the strategy down, you look at what your core topics are really going to be, chances are you're going to be able to take that old content and repurpose it into new, refreshed content. So you're always going to have the material. It's just a matter now of what you're going to do with the material and how you're going to shape it into a thriving garden with fertile soil. Using AI to streamline and optimize your SEO content strategy, that's how you can really focus on building a sustainable content system that is aligned with your brand and your audience. Here I have that link I mentioned earlier about insights into the relationship between sustainable marketing and how it ties to the triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and profit. Many of my concepts like gardening, planting, and all of it really come out of my studies of sustainable marketing and sustainable business. It's very relevant to this type of content marketing. When it comes to your content strategy, how do you plan and grow? Just like a gardener selects those plants, the first step is to choose core topics that are relevant to your audience. When you're planting them, you're choosing pillar content that's comprehensive and in depth. That's what's going to serve as the foundation of your ecosystem. We affectionately refer to the center of the pillar content as the showstopper. So think of it as your show stopping plant or garden of your brand. In the beginning, you're going to be doing the work, right? You're going to be testing the soil. That's one great place to start. Test your soil. You can have an agency like ours come in and look at all the content you have, look at how your site is ranking, for example, currently, and where there's room to grow and for improvement, and how a content ecosystem can really help your brand grow online. And then again, we talk a little bit here about the minimal upkeep. A well-planned garden, if you start planting it correctly from the start, you only need to have occasional updates. And in the world of perennial gardening, we divide plants, spread, especially when they're native region. Sometimes they grow sideways. In gardening, we divide those plants and share them. We see more pollinators coming to our garden. So the more data we can gather more and more data of the behavior of those pollinators. So similarly with your content, you're going to get more and more data about your audience and about the messaging and how it's landing with your audience. And so you'll be able to refresh and optimize as you go. It's never going to be as intensive as the work to get the foundation set in the first place. So the way that you'll want to be doing that is to make sure you benchmark your current analytics, and then you'll be tracking your analytics as you go so that you can see the difference between now and what happens when you set up that content ecosystem. And it will help you refine your SEO content strategy over time. That is an evergreen content ecosystem based on applying the principles of the no maintenance perennial garden to content marketing, helping you create a sustainable and resilient SEO content strategy without having to learn SEO. Core topic clusters are the foundation of this content strategy, and they form the backbone of a robust content ecosystem. If you're ready to grow your content garden, we have different ways to work with you. from helping you do it yourself to doing it all for you. Feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or want to get started building your own beautiful native content garden. If you want to cozy up with this resource and read through it yourself later this evening, you can download a portable version of the article that this video is based from. You can download that at the bottom of the pillar page on our website. If you're not on the page already, we'll put the link below. Stay tuned for another resource to come soon, and we'll see you later.